Let me ask you a question. How are you when it comes to sticking up for yourself? Saying no when you need to say no? Setting boundaries, sticking to them? Well, I'd like to invite you to grab your journal and join us because we're about to jam through 10 journal prompts about cultivating assertiveness. This is Journal Party Live, and I'm Alex Gellner. Let's get ready to party.
Party live, let's groove and vibe. Come on now, hands on fire, thoughts taking flight. Together we shine, words intertwine. Get funky, Journal Party Live, it's journaling time.
What's up, party people? How's everybody doing? Get the music back on. There we go. We got some soul jams for you this evening. So, yeah, I've been looking forward to this one all day, as I usually do. This is like the best part of my week, or one of them. Usually I'm pretty drained by midweek, and somehow I come out of these feeling all charged up and amped and ready to go. Maybe that's not the best thing, though, because sometimes it's late. But, you know, it's like a good energy. It's like a good, clean energy that comes out of these things, and I actually sleep really well on Wednesday nights. Anyway, I digress. So, I see some people joining us. We're going to give everybody a few minutes to trickle in, as per usual. And, yeah, let me know if you're new. I mean, usually got a few newbies in the house. Last week was a little light, but we remembered to send out all of our notifications this week. So, thanks to my fearless assistant, Nolene, for picking up the slack there. Hopefully we get some more people up in here. So we got Surrey's in the house, Mary Kay, Deidre, the usual suspects. Yuki, what's up, Yuki? Charlinia. We got Elizabeth here. Darlene's tired, but ready for the party. Yeah, I feel you, Darlene. But like I said, I go into these things tired often, and then come out feeling energized. All right, not that we need to be energizing late night, but I think you'll find that it's nice and relaxing. Well, you know the deal. You've been here, Darlene. Cece's in the house. Got Galena here. Deborah. Markenda, that's an awesome name. Judy, Jontel. We definitely got some newbies in the house, for sure. Let me know who's new, and I'll give you the rundown before we get started. We're going to give everybody a few minutes to trickle in, but about 5 after, we'll get the party rocking and rolling. All right, let me start by sharing my screen. All right. There I am. All right, so if you're new, oh, okay, well, we got at least one newbie here. Okay, at least 2. All right, Jontel's new, Kenda's new. Cool, awesome. Well, for those folks who are new, my name's Alex Gellner, and I'm the host and founder of Journal Party here. This thing that we do right now on Wednesday nights is called Journal Party Live. And it's a free live stream that we do every single week. And typically what we do on these is we like to debut our newest guided journaling program. So what you see on the screen right now is the Journal Party guided journaling app and I should say platform, because while we do have a mobile app, you can also just go to journalparty.com, and at the top there's you can access it there and browse all the programs that we have. But typically what we like to do on Journal Party Live is debut our newest premium programs. And so if you've used journaling apps before, this one's a little bit different. We don't actually write into the app. So this is primarily a group for pen and paper journalers. If you want to open up a laptop and do it there, it's no harm in that. But I definitely am a huge proponent of just pen and paper. I think, I actually know, because there's actual research coming out that supports that the neurological connections that are formed when you're actually writing stuff on paper are really strong. It helps with neuroplasticity and things like that. So there's definitely something to writing and putting pen to paper. So that's usually what we advocate for. But again, if you want to type this in your iPhone or even just think about stuff, I don't care. This is for you guys, and it's super casual, as you'll find. So these programs that you see here Basically, they're called power prompt playlists, and it's a fancy way of saying it's a sequence of journal prompts. But it's kind of like a music playlist in the sense that there's player controls and there's a list of prompts with timers, and it'll progress to the next prompt when each timer is up. And so for these, you don't actually need to have the app open because I'll be streaming it through the live stream here, but it's useful to have the app because if you ever have to hop off of one of these, you can always go back and take these programs at your own leisure and at your own pace. We also inside of the app have we have the replays stored. So we get that question a lot. Is this going to be recorded? And absolutely, yes. So the way to access that is just by going into the programs tab inside of the platform, the app. And there's a section called Journal Party Live, aptly named. And there you'll find all of the recently recorded Journal Party Lives, as well as the current Journal Party Lives. So if you ever are like, how do I access this? Or you lost the link to our YouTube channel or our Facebook group or whatever, you can just open up the app and you can actually stream it directly through the app, which is pretty cool. So anyway, the way this is going to work, let me open up the program. We're going to open up tonight's program. It's called Cultivating Assertiveness, and the idea here is I think we got the subtitle wrong. Anyway, the idea here is we're going to take a look at how we assert ourselves in our daily lives, and looking at things like boundaries, saying no, the guilt that comes with saying no, and sticking up for yourself, and having some balance so that there's tact in this whole process. Obviously, you don't want to be a jerk, but it's good to be an advocate for yourself. So tonight we're going to take a closer look at all these through 10 prompts. It's going to be 3 minutes per prompt, and usually that's enough. If you don't have the perfect response forthcoming, don't worry about it. This is super casual, and I think just try to start writing, even if it's just writing down the question. And oftentimes, even if the perfect most insightful response isn't coming out now, don't be surprised if those insights come up later. And speaking of insights, at the end of this, what we're going to do is we're going to get together, kind of hang out, talk about any insights, anything that came up, anything that we want to share with the group. We've got a lot of wise and good-hearted individuals here, and it's always really cool to just kind of hang out and connect and see what we can learn from each other. And I mentioned this is super casual, so it doesn't even have to be about the journal prompts necessarily at the end. I think this is quickly becoming a space where we're all friends and we're hanging out, and it's just cool to hear what's going on in you guys' lives, gals' lives. I don't want to. Got all sorts of folks here in the Journal Party family. So anyway, I digress. I think it's about time to get the party started. It's 8 after, and as Suri said, with journaling there is no perfect response. So just follow what comes up. Let your thoughts flow through your pen, and we'll see what comes out of it. But I think you'll find as we do this week after week, we're growing together, and it's a lot of fun. So with that, I'm gonna get us started. I will read the prompts and kind of fade off into the background, make sure the music keeps going, and then we'll hang out at the end. Sound good? Good. All right, let's get this party started. Here comes prompt number 1. All right, setting boundaries. Think of a recent situation where you wish you had set a boundary. What would have been a good way to express it? Alrighty, folks, get ready for your next prompt. Expressing needs. Write down one thing you often want to say no to but struggle with. How can you phrase it assertively next time? Alrighty, here comes your next one. Speaking up. Recall a moment when you stayed silent instead of sharing your thoughts. What would you say if you could redo that moment? All right, next prompt. Handling pushback. How do you usually respond when someone disagrees with your opinion? What's one way you can stay calm and assert your point? Alrighty, folks, here comes your next one. Owning your space. Describe a time when you felt confident expressing yourself. What made it work? How did you feel after? Next prompt, letting go of guilt. Think about a moment when you said no and felt guilty afterward. What would you tell yourself now to release that guilt? Next prompt, balancing. How can you express your own needs without dismissing others' feelings? Alrighty. Using I statements. Think of a time when you felt unheard. How could you express that feeling using I statements? I statements saying how I feel. Next one, responding to interruptions. Imagine someone cutting you off mid sentence. What's a respectful yet firm way to redirect the conversation? Oh, shoot, the music. Celebrating assertive wins. What's a recent situation where you spoke up for yourself? How did you feel, and what would you like to celebrate about it? Sorry, I was laughing at Deidre's here. The mom look. My mom's got one of those. It's brutal. Alrighty, folks. That wraps up our journal jam session on cultivating assertiveness. Get rid of this screen share here so we can all hang out. So let me know how you did with that. For the new folks here, typically what we do now is we consider what we've written, any insights that we have, anything that we maybe were struggling with, and bring it to the community at large so that we can share in each other's wisdom and hopefully grow. I usually start it off because it's easier and faster for me to speak it into a microphone. I know sometimes you guys have to type in your insights there, but I can kick it off and get us started. I highlighted a couple things that I had written down here, and we lost our music again. Awesome. There we go. Something nice. All right. So, one thing that kept coming up for me is something. I don't know where I heard this, but it's something that I subscribe to, which is the idea of examining whether it's more important to be right or if it's more important to be kind. And I think usually it's probably more important to be kind. I mean, obviously there's certain times where, you need to stand up for what is right and what is righteous. But I think if you're going to heavily assert what you believe is right, then you really ought to have something to back it up if you're going to be abrasive at all about it. And so that was my response to handling pushback, which, I think discourse is healthy. I think it's really important to be able to I forget who said. Oh, it must have been Deidre's quote, which was talking about the importance of seeking to understand rather than to be understood. I mean, I think just seeking a common understanding is what's really important. And so, if you're focused on that goal of improving the relationship, then I think that that's going to lead you to better places, especially when it comes to self-advocacy. So yeah, better to be kind than be right. Oh, bug here. What else did I get here? I mean, and speaking of making sure that if you're gonna stand up for yourself about being make it important to be right, it's good to have the data to back it up. And data is a choice word here because I was thinking this was for prompt number 5 for me. Just talking about a time when I felt confident in expressing and advocating for myself, and there was a recent marketing contract that I was working on where I kind of got into like a little tiff with a board member who was trying to basically assert himself in my lane, the lane that I was working in, all day, every day at the time, and was basically, questioning some of the things that had been done and suggesting some things that I didn't agree with. And I was actually able to go into our data and show that I mean, I don't want to say he was wrong, but he was. So anyway, it felt really good to be able to produce that. But I think also tact is super important here. Obviously I didn't want to nuke my relationship with an important board member, but I think that showing the data made him quickly understand that his position was a little bit off, and so we were able to move forward amicably. So I thought that was pretty good. And let's see, guys. Putting anything in here yet? Mary Kay says, I was always told humility must flee over abrasiveness. I'm not sure I understand that. You gotta clarify for me. Wakenda says, ouch! This one was so hard. Just so hard. As a BIPOC woman, I am finding through this journaling that I have a tendency to back off a bit for safety. Yeah. The fight, flight, freeze, or fawn response is huge within me. I stand up for others much better than for myself. And a little frowny face. So sorry, it got cut off on the shared comment here. But well, I appreciate that share, Wakenda. Obviously I'm a white guy, so it's hard for me to I don't have a whole lot of experience with that sort of thing. So I appreciate you sharing that, because it's important for me to be able to see those sorts of things, especially as, I engage in just discourse with people in general, and, seeking that understanding. And so, I'm glad that you're finding those insights. I'm sad that that's a response that's been conditioned for you. And open to hear the community's reaction on that sort of thing. I think safety is super important. That's something I had as a white dude. Like, I don't really have to think about my safety as often as women, certainly women of color, do. And so I appreciate the food for thought there. I'm not one thing you'll find out quickly here is I'm not some guru who has all the answers to all these things. I just think it's really awesome that we can kind of share our thoughts with each other and have some healthy conversation about it. And so, appreciate you bringing an additional perspective there. And again, feel free if anyone else in the community wants to chime in and answer some of that. Let's see. Mary says, humility must cover abrasiveness. Got it. Okay. Yeah. Well, and I was trying to think of like a smooth metaphor here, but like spoonful of sugar is what came to my head. Right? Like, it's easier to dish it out if you make it a little, sweeter going down. And also humility, I think, which is a little, it's a little different than what I was just saying. But this is so loud. Okay, sorry about that, folks. Yeah, so humility is a little different than just sweetening it up, though, right? I think that there's something awesome about acknowledging that none of us are perfect, and I think seeking that understanding in earnest, that's kind of what humility is in discourse, and so appreciate the share. That's pretty cool. Sir Cat says, I've been told I'm harsh because I do not say please and thank you enough. I always found that a direct approach works best to dispel confusion, usually. I feel that. I can be super blunt, especially when I'm like focused on a task or something like that. And I you know, I'm not traditionally the kind of guy who's just gonna like sweeten things up when I'm not focused on whatever somebody else's like point is or objective is. But I mean, that's I do think kind of like we were saying before, it is good to kind of humble yourself and try to just try to consider how you would want people to respond to something that you're putting out there. And I know that I certainly wouldn't appreciate how blunt I am if I was expressing that to those sorts of things to myself. So something to think about. Sir Cat. However, when a man states the same thing, he is assertive, but in a good way. Always confused me. Yeah, I mean, there's certainly, some things that we've all kind of been conditioned to, ways that we receive things, like different perceptions of the way things ought to be. But I think fortunately, like as we get connected with technology and things like that, we have awesome communities like this where we can be where I guess where we can be ourselves with each other, and we can really get on the level with each other. I mean, hopefully we can kind of break some of those norms and some of those things that kind of mess up the even keel of the playing field. So yeah, appreciate the share. Again, I'm a dude, so it's hard for me to fully empathize, not empathize, because I do empathize, but it's hard for me to fully understand that position just because it's not the one that I encounter every day. But I appreciate it when other people bring in those different perspectives. Sir Cat says, me too. Oh, sorry. Deidre says to Sir Cat, me too. I don't have a poker face at all, so you either get a full expression or nothing. Respectfully, of course. Darlene's Place says, I will check someone and be real nice about it. I'm good at it too, and people walk away feeling okay. Okay, well, I think that's important, right? Because like, especially if you have something that you want to get across. Like if people aren't walking away feeling okay, then you're definitely not. It's unlikely that you're getting your point across. But I think that look, I think a little tough love goes a long way sometimes. That's kind of how I operate. Like I mean, sometimes you just got to lay it down like it is. But yeah, you got to be kind about it, because nobody, sometimes the truth hurts. And, I think we all need to help each other get to truth, and acknowledge that none of us have that truth. Like, just inherently there's so much more to all this that as individuals, like there's just no way that we could have that the complete insight, the complete truth of everything. But gosh, the music loud again, sorry folks. Yeah, but that's good. It's good to be considerate of other people's feelings, for sure. Elizabeth says, I feel the same way. No conflict at any cost. Kathy Poo. Oh, good to see you again, Kathy. I struggle with setting boundaries, especially with my kids, because my mommy guilt is strong. I have set up a family calendar and have made my time for most of my plans as non-negotiable. I use a lot of I statements with others and are working on using it with my kids. They're adults. I express myself better through writing than speaking out loud. Well, that's good to know. I mean, it's good to know about yourself that, that's kind of like the modality that helps you express yourself. So, I mean, journaling is probably going to be great for you then, just because, whenever you come across these difficulties, like, especially as it pertains to interpersonal relationships, finding finding ways to communicate. It doesn't mean you have to write letters to everybody, but even rehearsing it, and just writing it down, then hopefully that can help you be more effective with setting those boundaries and getting that point across. I mean, yeah, again, I can't speak to mommy guilt. I know that my mommy gave me a lot of guilt, so I know the other side of it, but I don't think that's the same thing. Let's see. Any cost, right? I got you, Elizabeth. All right. Siri Cat, same. Direct when I'm focused as well. Nahal says, Kathy, me too. I feel even my puppy bosses me around. Oh, my dog is so bossy. So bossy. He'll just stand there at the entrance of where he knows his little treats are. Like, I'm not going to leave until you give me a treat. He's such a boss. Such a little boss. Frenchies, man. He's mostly Frenchies. American Frenchie. All right. Darlene's place. I will walk away or hang up a phone in a minute, and I would tell others to do the same to me. I'm a very balanced person. Got Nahal here. I think it's rooted in having a very rigid mom and always being the hot seat. Even at 58, when someone yells at me, my first instinct is to cry. I hate being like disciplined and yelled at. And I don't think anyone, feels good being told what to do or being told they're doing something wrong. I don't have the answer to that one either. There's a lot of answers I don't have here this evening, but I think it's important to remember also that in this pursuit, like, it's not always finding the answer so much as just finding awareness. Like, I think it's so healthy to be, and so productive to be able to like take a look at, some of these things in your own life and just how you're showing up, and get some like detached perspective on it, because maybe some of these are just part of your flavor, part of your personality. But some of these things you might be like, oh man, I'm not so effective when I let myself get that way, or when I'm impatient or whatever it is. And that was a big one for me is having patience and just acknowledging that like the humanity in other people, right? What's the Hindu, I think it's Hindu thing, like, or what do they say in India? Namaste, right? It's like acknowledging the divinity within another person. And I know we have people from different faiths here and stuff like that, but I think just being able to look at someone and say like, okay, you are like, and really feel like you are a human being. Like, let's understand each other rather than like me beating you over the head with like what my point is or what I need. And if you're going to advocate for your own needs, with any gusto, I think it's important to realize that, well, other people are as sovereign and important as you are, just in a different way. And so, having that humility, having that understanding, and ultimately, I think the right intentions is where it's at. But in the moment, it can be tough, right? Like, gosh, someone was talking about the politics stuff here earlier, and I always want to be careful not to turn this into like a debate. We got enough of that stuff going on, right? But it can be triggering, right? Like when somebody is pretty hard-nosed in the opposite direction as you, like, it's real easy to lose that perspective and to lose the humanity in somebody else's eyes. And unfortunately, that's the kind of thing that's tearing us apart. And I know, again, I want to be careful not to descend into the political debate type of stuff, but ultimately, like, what we can't have is irreconcilable truths from two sides, and whether that's political or not. I think it's just so important that we maintain the ability to have reconciliation and understanding. And that's where those things like those I statements come in handy, because it's real easy to you should do this, you should do that, or that's completely different than putting out what your experience is, which nobody can deny, right? Like, if you feel a certain way, nobody can deny that you feel that way and take that away from you. That doesn't mean that that feeling is justified or correct or anything like that, but at least, if you're focused on bringing your truth to the table and having the table be a place in common, then we can reconcile that and hopefully get closer to whatever the grander truth of things are, and come away with some understanding and ultimately love, right? Like, everyone wants to just feel loved and understood. So I think eyes on the prize there. Yuki says many people are aggressive and try to say it's being assertive. Yeah, there's a difference there. There's definitely a difference there. I don't think I even need to like pontificate on that. It's clear that some people are just abrasive and blunt for the sake of it, and they wear that as a badge of honor. And like, look, everyone's got their own flavor, personality, and sometimes there's a place for that. Like, I have friends that are like that, and I love them just the same, but it's also, I don't know that they're necessarily as effective as they think that they are, or that they could be if they were less focused on being the blunt object to strike someone with, and more so just adamant about showing up and presenting what it is that you believe to be true and right, and also being open to greater understanding, and for me, a big one is being teachable. I love to learn things, and sometimes I'll obsess on learning something and figuring a certain thing out, but then it's real easy to develop a certain posture about that of authority, where you start to shut out other potential truths, and so it's a delicate dance. And I think, like, ultimately, like, the best thing that we can do is cultivate some awareness about that, because we probably will never have like the ultimate truths just for ourselves and these earthly human bodies, but I think that we can strive to get closer to it together, for sure. Yuki, Suricat says, Yuki, true, I have worked with both. There's definitely a difference. Judy says, one situation was in a group where no one acknowledged me being there, so I didn't join the conversation. I just thought they were being rude, sort of cliquish, like high school. That's tough. I mean, that's one of those just like social dynamics things, and people probably don't even realize that they're doing it, or maybe they don't change what's happening because it feels good to be accepted and not in the out group, or whatever it is. But I think if you have the desire to be acknowledged, it's I would challenge you to present, right? Like if you really want to be seen, then sometimes it takes a little boldness and stepping out, but it's tough. Yeah, it's one of those things where, like, groupthink and social dynamics, particularly the social dynamics of groups, can be very challenging, super challenging. So that's why it's so important that we are so resolved in our own being that we can confidently show up and even if we're standing alone, stand as a force, stand as the magnificent beings that you all are. John Tell says, I'm too quiet, but my facial expression says it all. I can't hide my thoughts sometimes. And sometimes I'll bet you that's more powerful than words. I'll bet. Kathy says, interesting that I raised my kids to be assertive and outspoken because I wasn't taught that. Interesting. Well, I mean, do you think that because you weren't taught that you were maybe at a disadvantage? I mean, I know that I was pretty shy, timid, often as a younger kid, and gosh, I mean, well, for me, I think I only learned to be assertive after just being so tired of getting taken advantage of. Like, the unfortunate reality too is that, like, if you're not going to be assertive, and people can see that as something to take advantage of, and they will over and over again. And for me, it was a matter of like pain. It was like, okay, well, I'm I'm not going to allow this to continue to occur. And so, then it became more like a muscle to exercise. And I have to be careful because now I love to complain. So, I was like thinking about, or what was the one where I was talking about, think about a time when you did actually, stand up for yourself or whatever. And I had a recent moment like that. I've had a lot of recent moments like that because, again, like you give people an inch and they will often take a mile. I think now that I've learned that I can advocate for myself and get my way, but for me, that can also become this sort of like temptation where it's like, okay, I'm just going to, or you know what it is? It's not temptation so much as like, I have to watch out for when I'm being prideful about it, because it's like, well, how dare they treat me like that? And obviously, you want people to treat you right. But when it's like, I don't know, I can get into like male Karen territory sometimes and, try to dial that back because I don't think that's the experience anyone's wanting to have. Deidre says, I've intentionally stopped talking when I realized the situation was going to disturb my peace. Yeah, that's a powerful one. I'm not sure if that was you with the original share, about sometimes it's like not saying something, right? And it's important to look at both sides of those coins. There's like a Taoist idea that I really love, which is those who know do not speak, and those who speak do not know. There's so many different translations and different ways to saying that. But as I yap away here, it's also important for me to remind myself that I really don't know all of the answers, and sometimes it's just yapping, and sometimes it's better to shut up and listen and try to understand like what's going on, actually receive stuff. And for me, I get really enthusiastic about the things that I participate in, and so there was a prompt in there about like, what do you do when you're interrupted? And I was like, shoot, I interrupt people all the time. Like, I really got to try not to do that, because it's rude, first of all, and it can't look great when I do that and sound like overzealous about stuff like that. And also, if I'm honest, it causes me to miss out, and also like, gosh, what was that book? 48 Laws of Power. I don't know if I recommend it because some of that book just seems downright evil. Especially when you hear the audiobook, the guy, the narrator's like he just sounds really evil the way he delivers these laws of power. But I think I got sidetracked because I was thinking about that book, and then the music. And I was just yapping, like I was saying, right? Sometimes it's nice just to sit back and take a look at what's going on and try to understand it from there. I'm going to do that right now. So we got some more comments in here. Darlene's Place. I'm a very nice person and I don't get involved in others' stuff unless asked, which is why when I do have to confront something or someone, I feel confident that it's the right move. Well, that's good. I mean, we talked about actually, having confidence when you're going to assert yourself, right? It's good to know that you know. Kathy says, I get aggressive at times because both my parents were rigid. Interesting. Orkenda, I agree with that, Alex. Just learning about our tendencies is huge. Finding answers is not as important as seeing that there is a question there in the first place. Sage-like. Love that. Glad you're in the party with us, Orkenda. Hope you enjoyed this evening. Nahal says, I can only use kindness as my communication tool. That is at times perceived as weakness, I think, especially with men. Angry men really scare me. Yeah, it's tough because, like, on one hand, we're talking about, things that, on one hand, we're talking about, like, softening, your approach and your presentation with things. But it is a very real reality that we live in a physical world, and sometimes there's big, strong, angry people who feel very strongly about things, and it's tough. I think looking at some of these prompts about like how do you deal with those sorts of situations, like I don't know, like when someone's interrupting you or whatever, and like what do you do, right? What do you do when somebody is that scary or that difficult? And I mean, I'm always an advocate for courage, but I mean, I wouldn't do anything I certainly wouldn't want to suggest anything that would put anyone in harm's way or jeopardize your safety. But, if you do feel like there's no imminent physical harm, then I think, to assert yourself confidently and calmly, it can be really disarming as to somebody who's like just really intense about something and kind of has that scarier posture. Hopefully you can cut through that. And I think if you're just repeatedly coming up against like just this brick wall with people, that's you just have to acknowledge that that's the scenario. And sometimes it's not worth expending your energy and bringing yourself down to or not necessarily down, but into the energy of another, especially when they're off kilter like that. So it's a tough one. It's again, I don't normally have to think about that sort of thing, as a dude, but yeah, you know what? Even as a dude, I've encountered some angry, scary men. I live in Los Angeles. You ever been in LA Fitness in Los Angeles? Crazy. Darlene says, I don't bother anybody and I will help any way I can, but I don't take tea for the fever with foolishness for no reason. You're going to have to explain that expression to me. Tea for the fever. It sounds like something I would say, but I have no idea what it means. So enlighten me if you would. Kathy, that's a trauma response. I hope you heal. Nahal says, thank you, Kathy. Me too. Surrey Cat's got to run. Thank you for the prompts. You're so welcome, Surrey Cat. Glad you were able to join us again this evening. And like she says, don't forget to hit that like button. Help me in the channel. Appreciate that. Yeah, it's always nice to see this thing growing, and we couldn't do it without your support. So thanks for the shout out, Surrey Cat. All right. I am always ready for correction, and I will do my best to do better if what I'm doing is hurting someone. That's important. It's important to be willing to be wrong. Like I have this conversation with my therapist a lot, where especially when I'm complaining about something, and I often try to clarify or at least affirm to myself, like, look, if I'm wrong here, like, I'm happy to be wrong. Like, please enlighten me. Please tell me, what. Please educate me as far as like what's going on here. But I don't think that I'm wrong. So right? And a little bit of ego there for sure. But I think that it's important to have that humility to be prepared to be wrong and to correct course if necessary. I mean, if we all stuck to our guns even when they blew up, when they backfired on us, we'd all be dead. Kathy, I'm an only child introvert. My parents and uncles stood up for me, so I didn't have to speak up for myself as a kid. That's interesting. Yeah, I was a little meeker as a kid, and I just remember my dad was always, he always tried really hard to get me not to be like that. Just like, what are you worried about, kid? And look, I know we've talked about some things that you absolutely should be worried about, like big scary men who want to beat you up if you have a different opinion or something like that, right? But at the same time, it is good to speak up for yourself. And so, I know, maybe people have kind of taken that off your shoulders in the past, Kathy, but I don't know. You seem to be expressing yourself just fine here, so I wouldn't be surprised if you're just fine speaking up for yourself. But I could be wrong. I'm open to being wrong. But yeah, I think just even the fact that you have that kind of awareness probably means you'll be all right. Elizabeth says, this has been very helpful. I'll definitely be back. Thanks, everyone. Awesome. And Darlene's Place, thank you. Conversation was good. Oh wow! And here's the expression that I wanted to learn. Let the fever do what it does. No meds or tea to get better. Interesting. I kind of do that. Like you ever put on like medicine or something, and well, I guess that kind of goes against it because you're talking about letting the illness do it. But what I was gonna say, even though it's like it doesn't make sense according to this, but you ever have a burn or something, you put the cream on it and it burns more, and so you're like, oh, it's working. Like that's where my mind went with that, but I know that's not what you're talking about, so my apologies. I can't help but engage enthusiastically like I said, and of course also like I said, I'm open to being wrong, but you know what, I think we did it right here this evening. So folks, I'm getting pretty tapped out here. We're already an hour past, so it's time to shut this party down real quick. Before we bail, wanted to let everybody know that the lifetime deal that we have for Journal Party Premium. Normally it's a subscription, but we are currently running a lifetime deal. That is going away. I know we said that and people probably didn't believe it, but like it's definitely going away because as we add all these programs, it's going to be harder to support that lifetime deal. So if you're into that sort of thing, if you're enjoying these guided journal jam sessions and you want to have all of the programs that we release in the premium thing without subscription, you can get that by visiting the QR code there on the page, or just going to you can actually still get it on journalparty.com in our store, or lifetime.journalparty.com, and that deal is $97, but it gets you everything without subscription forever, all the new premium stuff that we release. And speaking of new stuff that we release, it's not a premium program, but a entirely separate program that I have. Let me show you, for those of you who are still hanging around. All right, so we've got this new program here, and I put this together because a lot of people probably know this if you've been hanging around here long enough, but Journal Party was born out of the lull in between jobs, and particularly right after I was laid off from a job where I was extremely burnt out. I worked very closely with my therapist and counselors and coaches and things like that to basically put together a protocol by which I could use this thing, journaling, that has been so effective for me just to keep my head screwed on straight. But I figured that we could probably do so much more with it, and I basically created my own protocol for getting over the burnout that I was experiencing. And full disclosure, I still get burnt out, I still get overwhelmed, and the nice thing is now I have a really awesome tool to handle that. And so we're about to release this program. It's called Burnout to Balance, Guided Journaling for Busy Professionals. And it's a special program just for, folks who are burnt out and, need a little bit of a nudge to kind of get through those things. So these programs are focused specifically on people who are, in the workforce and encountering those kinds of difficulties. So we are going to be selling this for $37. That said, if you are a professional on here in any capacity, I would love to get some feedback on this product, and get some testimonials if possible, so that we can bring it to more people and help more people who are burnt out and help them beat that burnout and overcome that overwhelm. So if that's you, if you're a busy professional and you want to check out this program for free, let me know. I will reach out to you, get you the access that you need, and would appreciate it if you go through it. Let me know your thoughts, and give us a testimonial that we can use to get this into more people's hands. I think this journaling thing, there's something to it. I feel so much better every Wednesday night. I feel so much better every morning when I do this kind of thing. And I think my mission with Journal Party has always been to get at least 1 million people to journal with us. And I think that if we did that, then imagine if just a million more people journaled and like actually took the time to like go within and consider how they're showing up in the world and how they're really feeling, and created that space to be honest and open with themselves. So that's it's something that's super important to me, and I think that some of these people who are heads down at work like really need this more than anybody. So we made this program, and yeah. So all right, I see Workenda's down. Yeah, as a teacher, that's professional. Anybody who's in the workforce, right? It's just these things, the like our busy schedules can just they can consume us if we don't create that time for self-care. And a lot of people just struggle with that. Maybe they don't know what to write about, or maybe they think it's going to take too much time. And so we made it really easy to digest. We've made it it's a self-serve program, so you don't need to like show up at a certain time every week or whatever. You can just access it whenever you need it. And we got all these different playlists in there, prompt playlists, for whatever it is that you got going on. So let's see. All right, Workenda, I will reach out to you and get that to you. You are in the Facebook group. Okay, so that's where I'll connect with you. And Mary Kay, if you are down, then I would love to send this to you as well. I'm not sure. Do I have you on Facebook, Mary? If not, let me know the email address, and I'll reach out. And of course, if you have anything you'd like to to button it with, knowing that you have actually taught training on this, if we can enhance this product in any way, I'm all for it. So let me know. And Darlene says, looks nice. Can't wait till my finances are in order and buy lots of stuff and join premium. Awesome. Well, we still have the $5 a month deal, although we're going to get rid of that too. I'm sorry to say. But you know what though? Like this Journal Party Live thing we do every week is always going to be free. So, hope that you enjoyed this evening. Hope that you will continue to show up. I will continue to show up for you. And together we will all rise. And that's a beautiful thing. So, all right, everyone. Hope you have a wonderful rest of your evening, rest of your week. And as always, party